Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And yeah, during this session, everyone should go into focusing state so that you can focus on this session. My name is Ståle Hansen, and I'm the CEO and Principal Cloud Architect at Cloudway. I'm a Microsoft MVP and a Microsoft Regional Director. And the session is called Harnessing the Full Potential of the focusing state in Teams. So it's not enough to just be in the state. You need to do a lot of stuff in order to really use it as well, and that is what this session is all about. I am also part of the author team for Office 365 for IT Pros online book. It's updated monthly. This time I need to update my calling and devices chapter with the new Operator Connect Mobile that Microsoft just launched, and some other news as well. So I will also watch Morten's session on all the news, which was a great session earlier today. So, but it's a discount code. So if you're interested, there's a discount code over there so that you can get 10% off. Hurry, write it down, or I will post it in the chat at the end of this session. I'm the guy who have been talking about this for almost a decade right now. I've been working with Skype for Business for 15 years, and I always had a lot of activities happening everywhere, and so much going on. And I have a YouTube video on my YouTube channel, Starla Hansen, search for it, where this is from 2016, where I talked about OneNote life hacks, and focusing is one of the main topics there as well. So this is more an iteration, an evolvement of how you can do this in Teams, using new tools in Microsoft 365. Interestingly enough, I think I hit a nerve with this one. 133,000 views on YouTube, and it's actually a repost as well. It was hosted on the Microsoft channel for about a year, where it had 250,000 views. So this is a huge topic. It's very important for a lot of people, and all of you who are in this talk, congratulations. You are now about to become more focused, more productive in your busy workday. Turns out, though, I'm still very enthusiastic about this, and I have discovered a model for digital well-being. So go to my YouTube channel and get a good understanding of what digital well-being is, where process and execute is where this topic fits within digital well-being in Microsoft 365. And I'm doing deep dive sessions as well. This one is 1.5 hours on the capture and using that in To Do. Last Friday, I did a live stream for almost 3 hours on diving into me telling you everything about process and execute. And this Friday, I'm talking about Teams culture in a digital well-being setting. What kind of Teams culture do you need to have in order to take control over how you communicate and take control over notifications and capturing good information? And then in 1 week, I will talk about notifications for a couple of hours as well. So if you're super interested in this, check out my YouTube channel. But the session is all about this single setting. And it's magical because you can't set it yourself. It needs to be planned. It needs to be part of using focus time and using protect time in Viva Insights. That's where it happens. It comes from this magical calendar event in your calendar, which only this service can create for you. So I try to reverse engineer it, and it's impossible. It's like green status, but it's something else. And I'm trying to look into the metadata as well, and I have not found what makes it a focusing status, because I've been all about hacking my status since early Skype for Business, early Link days, and controlling the status so that it shows what I'm actually doing. I think it's very important. And the main thing about this status, this very special status in Teams, is that you're telling your colleagues what's going on. It's not just do not disturb, but it's I'm actually doing deep work right now. So you should not expect for me to answer you. And if you call me, you are just rude, right? You are trespassing on my focusing, my deep work. And the challenge with this is I'm trying to reach the flow state, and it takes some time to get into the flow state, but it's super easy to get out of the flow state. So if you bring me out of my flow state, I may not be able to deliver what I needed to deliver within time. Maybe I had a deadline. Maybe I had this 5 to 10 minutes to reach that, because the rest of the day I'm doing something else. And now you are skewing my calendar. So this is a very, very important status. But I want to show you some context as well. And I think you all have seen this one, right? It's classic. It's been used for so many different scenarios. I think it fits very well in here as well. We need to use the tools available to work as smart as possible in Microsoft 365. So if you're not using the focusing state, it's like me standing there with the focusing state. You see it's around even and has this a line in the middle. So it's actually a focusing state. So you say, no, thanks, I don't have time for that. I'm so busy, so I don't have time to focus. That's you being too busy to work smart in Microsoft 365. And you may be working what I called in Norwegian, you're running on empty all the time running on empty. It's just, yeah, you're not getting the speed up. You're just doing a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It creates stress, and you're not using what is available for you for working smart. And then I want to show you another comic as well, where the manager comes to Bob and says, hey, I have more work for you. Congratulations. Because work is cool, because then we get to do stuff. But I'm already overloaded, says Bob. And the manager says, no, you're not. And then we look at the workload, which is like crazy. But no problem. We can put it on top. Problem solved. You just need to plan your time better. I'm actually on the manager's side on this one. I don't think that's the intention of the comic, though. I think the intention is that don't be stupid, don't be that person that just don't care about people. And I think as a champion within your organization, as a team specialist, you need to be empathic about your people, and you need to understand that we need to teach them how to manage their time better. We need to teach them how to focus. It's not enough for me as this manager. So this manager isn't doing a great job. He's just like, you need to plan your time better. But the problem is that Bob cannot envision it's just so much work going on that I can't envision how I can work differently, because I need to get through this work, but it's like ever renewing. It's just more work coming in the pipeline, so that I'm never gonna be able to get enough time to rethink my life, to rethink the way I work. I'm just working on empty all the time and just doing what needs to be done. We need to teach people this. This needs to be taught and learned, and we need the culture in the organization to change for as many people as possible at the same time. That is what focusing status is all about, if you look at the big picture. But let's dive into the details here. What does it look like? Where can we find it? So first off, the biggest challenge we have these days is reserving time for focus, reserving time for deep work, reserving time for your to-do list or the projects you are working on. And the problem is, if you're not reserving time during the day because you have back-to-back meetings, like 30-minute meetings or 25 minutes if you're using the Outlook hack, back to back, and then when are you going to get your job done? Because yes, you had 10 minutes between a meeting, but you need to catch your breath as well. You need to get some more coffee. You need to reset your brain as well. And then the challenge is, when can we actually do deep work? And it may be that you're doing it on a regular basis of hours, which in time can lead to burnout, can lead to you be caring less for your work. That's not a good habit to have. Okay, so reserving time. This is the ideal calendar. I guess your calendar looks like this. It's blank. Okay, I understand though that may not be the case. Let's have a look at this. So yeah, so what we want to do is we want to reserve time. This is an ideal situation where you are planning your day in the beginning of the day and ending your day as well as a calendar event. And these could be focusing times that you can schedule or add yourself. And let me just refresh my PowerPoint here and restart this like this. So what we want to do, at least reserve time for you to wrap up your day, to get the last actions of the day done. And this is an ideal day. And what happens in between here are meetings, are actual project work, and so on and so forth. But you need to be working structured as well, and use that general focus time to do that. But these are just regular meetings. So let's look into focus time. How do you get started with that? And you do that by going to Viva Insights. If you don't have it in your app list, you can go to the three-dotted menu, the meatball menu, the elliptical menu, that menu, you know. And add Viva Insights. Most of you have it available. And then you can go into that, go to protect time, and there you can schedule a focus time, and you also see what kind of focus time you have available. So Viva Insights is the platform for you to schedule time automatically. And it will look for available slots within your calendar. It can be 1 hour, it can be 2 hours, and you can say that I want it preferably at the end of the day or the beginning of the day. The recommendation is to have it at the beginning of the day, because that's when you are at your best. Actually, it doesn't feel like that though, when you are like rolling out of bed and going to your home office. But that's when you are actually best at tackling difficult communication, difficult thinking, more deeper work and focusing, and then spend the rest of the day being in meetings and doing other projects. So the recommendation is in the beginning of the day, and it will then find available spots within your calendar. So when you have scheduled this, when you have set it up, you will get this event. This event is called focus time, and it's called what it's called within your language. So it will be if you have Norwegian or Swedish or whatever language you have as a default, that will be the name of this session. You see it has this category green, and that's it really. It's easy to get started. But if you are not doing this often, at least reserve time at the end of Friday to wrap up your week, and maybe that could be your focus time as well. So the recommendation is to try to get one in there during the week. But I don't really like this approach. The problem is that if you're just sprinkling out focus time in your calendar, but you're not committed to it, then you are using it the wrong way, and people will pick up on this very quickly, which means that, oh yeah, you're in focus time, but I know you're not. So I will disturb you anyway. And because yeah, no one can be in deep work for 2 hours. That's actually completely impossible. Unless you really are deep, you are programming, but you should take some breaks. You're probably taking some breaks, and it should be possible for you also to reevaluate what's going on within that 2-hour time frame. So I don't like this plan. I don't like this this setting. So let's see if we can do this in a different way. But before we do that, when you are going to focus, getting the most out of your focus time, you should have a task list. And so if you go back here, if you have a to-do time over here and maybe a focus time over there, and then wrap up your day, this is where you build your task list. That what am I actually going to do during my focus time? Because if you go into focus time and don't have a plan for what you're going to do, you will then probably not going to come into that deep work and flow state. So how do we do the build our task list? Especially in the beginning of the day, if that's like the preferred time. So if you start at a focus time in the beginning of the day, you should look at your Viva Insights briefing email. For those who are not using that, I recommend to start using it. And for those who doesn't use English as a language in your tenant today, more languages are now being launched so that this email will be available for more people. What this actually says is that you can book focus time actually as part of this email. It will show you if you have any available time for focus time. I don't though, but it also asks you, do you want to catch up on emails? Do you want me to add breaks for you in the calendar? Do you want me to add learning for you in the calendar? And you can definitely use these automated ways to do it. And what I find really, really interesting is that the smart way of working, this is what all the productivity methodologists talking about, like take breaks, then focus, take a break. You need to reserve time for learning to evolve yourself. And if you're not learning, then you are like you're just doing what you always did, but at some point your current knowledge will be outdated. And the great thing about learning is that you will bring in new ideas, which will merge with your existing ideas, and then new ideas get created. It's very interesting how that happens. And also as an employer, it should be important for me that you evolve yourself, that you take in new ideas, that you listen to other people. It doesn't have to be an online class. It could be a podcast, YouTube video, Teams Nation, and all that, and reserve time for learning. But you need to do it consistently and make that a habit. I don't subscribe to any of these though. I like to have full control over my own calendar, but I like to reserve this time my own way. But if you run this and see if what kind of times it will identify for you, try it out a couple of times and see where those lands, feel what it looks like, and then adjust to it. So the Viva Daily Brief will also highlight some time for you where you can have breaks and learning. And then also it will show you some activities that you may or may not be aware of, things you have forgotten about. Here it says that you are double booked for this meeting today, so you should inform someone about that. And also it says that, oh, I need to schedule a one-to-one with Alexander, and make sure that you are talking to this. Should we do that today for you? And just a reminder. And personally, I find this to be semi-useful. I have seen activities there that I forgot about or that I wanted to put on my agenda for today. But mostly it's I'm typically aware of it. But it's a good reminder, so I recommend to scroll through it. So this is one source. The other source I do in the beginning of my day to create my agenda is to go through my emails has something happened this morning that I need to take care of? Has any of these tasks a high priority that I will look into? For instance, there's a Power Automate flow that's failed here, and there's some Champions Program information that I got that I probably should review. I won't do it right now. I just flag it so that I can review it later and maybe put it on the agenda for today. And then, of course, you need to use Microsoft To Do. That's your personal task system. And I will not dive into how you create these to-do lists, but what I will go and do is highlight the emails that I got today, which goes into flagged emails, and everything is showed under important. So in the beginning of my day, this is the source of what I will do during a focus session. It's the beauty of this is that the important tasks, they are highlighted in this important list. The source is all these different locations. And this is a complete list of my most important activities. And here, this is how I build the activity list for my day. It doesn't mean that I will complete everything, but in a perfect world, I would really love to either get started on this project, I would like to complete these tasks, and this is what I will focus on during my focusing session. And you might think that, no, I've just find a task I will do and it will be okay. That's not okay, actually, because if you don't believe yourself that the task you're focusing on is the absolutely most important task you can do at that time, then you will distract yourself and maybe check emails, maybe check something else during that focus session, and you will lose focus. So you need to believe that this is so important, the most prioritized task for me right now, by looking at everything I have to do so that I can focus on it. It's okay for me to single task on this action for the next 25 minutes, for the next hour, today, or something like that. This is very, very important. So that's why it's important to check the Viva Insights daily brief, check your current emails, check if there are anything in Teams that needs your attention, and bring that into the evaluation so that, okay, I see there are activities there, but now I will focus on this activity because that's the most important task for me. So build out my day for you in the beginning of the day. This takes about 10 minutes in the beginning of a focus session, or maybe before you start your focus session. And then you have your agenda for today, in addition to everything else you do. I would say these are tasks in addition to everything you do, the meetings you have, the time you're set up for project work and so on. This is what you will do when you have breaks, when you have time in your calendar, or when you have reserved time, a general time for focus. So there's one more thing we need to do. We need to, this is the task list that we have captured from email, from Teams, from earlier activities, but you also need to do a brain dump. There are always some activities in your head that are swirling around that you think you need to do. So get that registered in here as well, and dump it. Do a brain dump on that, and this is super important for two reasons. One is that when it's in your head, it feels like it has a higher priority, and you do that, or you try to do that, or you are stressing out that you're not doing it. So writing it here and seeing it in context of everything else you are doing, so important. The second part here is that you don't have to remember it. Your brain is actually not made for remembering the correct information at the correct time. That's not how it works today, at least. Maybe it worked like that before we got a smartphone and Google and whatever. And so the lists you have in your head, always brain dump them into my day, into tasks, into to do, so that you can free up space, reduce stress, and don't try to remember stuff, the wrong stuff at the wrong time, because that's how it works. When you're trying to see what else was it I was going to do, which was super important, I totally forgot it. And then now you're spending energy trying to remember it. And the thing is that you don't stop thinking about that, you will think about that for a very long time until 2 hours later. That's when that's when you will remember it. But then you have spent so much time trying to remember it that maybe you weren't able to focus even because it's gnawing in the back of your head. So this is very, very important. So the brain dump, super important. Always, always brain dump. And then some of the tasks we have, they are not really tasks, they are goals. And I'm getting things done enthusiast. David Allen wrote the book Getting Things Done back in the 80s. He did a refresh in 2015. And he quotes, so I'm quoting David Allen now, quoting Mark Twain, that the secret of getting ahead is getting started. Yeah, that's so true. And the secret of getting started is breaking your complex, overwhelming tasks into small, manageable tasks, and then starting on the first one. And when we say it like that, it's so easy, makes so much sense. So why aren't you doing it? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not building this into your day? And you just do it when you are like super stressed at random times. You start, oh, today I need to do this, and you start writing down on post-it notes or in your book or in Notepad, which is Notepad, really? And then at least write it down in OneNote or Quick Notes or preferably Microsoft To Do. So, but make a habit out of this. Make a habit out of doing that brain dump, creating that My Day, and breaking down actions. So what does that look like? So here I have a smaller project, I would say, Microsoft 365 project. And I need to break this down because Microsoft 365 project, that's a goal. It's not a task. It's not one action. So I need to do this brain dump and break this down into manageable activities. This is super important. And it's also super important that you add it to this task, because then you will be, you don't have to recreate this the next time you're going to work on the Microsoft 365 project. And here you see me rearranging them as well, based on how easy they are to get started with. So the longest task, they outline the high level document. That's the last thing I want to do. I don't want to start with this one because there are 5 other things I could have done in that time frame. So which means that I will actually be further ahead on my project because I've done more tasks. So then I can focus on this one when I'm ready for it. And the next time I will look at this project and work on this project, that is when I can just restart this process. And the funny thing that happens when you do this, when you start breaking down actions, that process also goes on in your head over a longer time. Doesn't just stop after 10 minutes. You have started it, and you will remember other stuff that you need to do. You talk to people, you remember it, and then just make sure you note that down in here as well. So that's important. But now we are ready to start our focus session. But we need to understand that only having a focus session in your calendar and having a My Day doesn't mean you are getting things done. You're not getting stuff done, really. It's not a guarantee for that to work for you. What's the problem? This is the problem. If you thought your colleagues were the problem because they ask you stuff and emails and so on, you are totally wrong. You're like misunderstood how the world works. It is you who is the problem. You going to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, your favorite news sites, your other favorite news sites, because the news could be different between those 2 news sites. Reddit, like, don't go down that rabbit hole. You forgot to get yourself a coffee, and so now we'll do that instead. and break my focus time, or something's happening on your mobile, Snapchat, or some messages, or there's something, there's vibration over there and it's making some sounds. I need to check this. And then, oh, TikTok, this is a new one. This is a dangerous one. Suddenly 2 hours has passed, like 2 hours later. And then like, okay, now I should get started. And no, the day is over. So that's the challenge. This is our problem for 2022. And 40%. What do you think this number represents? 40%. This is the context switching happening and the time that goes away for you to do context switching. Takes away 40% of your productive time. But the thing is, this was in 2006, I mean. And what happened after 2006? The iPhone came out in 2007, became mainstream in 2011. Do you think we are better at context switching today than we were in 2006? I think not. And we have been hacked, people. We are damaged now. For 10 years, we have been molded into focus jumpers. Like, oh, I need to look at this and then look at that, and there's something over there, and then I can't keep focus more than 5 seconds because something may have happened, and it's not gotten better past year. We need to take control over it. We need to hack the hack. And how do we hack the hack? The goal is, of course, flow state. This is the hack. We need to be conscious about this because it doesn't happen by itself anymore. Because we are not turning off our mobile phone and then go to work. That's where we turn it on. And there's so much happening there now. It's not only work, it's not only private life, it's both. And much of that is also very important. The way you talk to your friends and family, to be available if something happens. And you need to be available, you need to be reachable. Suddenly they call from the kindergarten or the school, or something has happened in the world, you need to be updated on that and totally understand that. But the goal is flow state, deep work, focusing. That is when you forget about time, place, and what you were that you were thirsty. And the problem is that typically happens automatically in the evenings, off hours. That's when you really can focus. And why is that happening? It is happening because you don't have anyone expecting anything from you. You know that this one task is what I need to do in order to go to bed. That is why you are reaching the flow state. There's no distractions, there's single focus. And what if we could introduce this during a workday and it doesn't happen by itself in the evenings? How can we do this? It's called the Pomodoro technique. And it's just about focusing for 10 to 25 minutes and either take a break or keep going. That's super simple, actually. But it's a whole technique. Why do we need such a technique? Because we don't know how to focus anymore in the same way as we did. That happened automatically before. We need to be conscious about this now. We need to actually break the pattern, and breaking the pattern is super hard. So the Pomodoro technique. What I done, and this is what I do for myself or for creating focus time. I create a Pomodoro list in To Do. So I create a list. I even add an emoticon for it, because Pomodoro is called tomato in Italian, turns out. And so I create a Pomodoro list, and this is where I write down how much focus time do I have now. Do I have 25 minutes? Do I have 10 minutes? Do I have 15 minutes? Because that happens. And what happens when I do this, it creates focus time for that specific period. This is how I like to use focus time. And I hack this now because I don't like this 2-hour session, because it may only be that I'm focusing for 25 minutes and then do something else. Maybe then I'm super available for you to reach out to me. I'm super available for me reaching out to you, because we need to get some stuff done as well. And this is where I'm deep working. This is when I am working, and when I have this focus, don't disturb me. Really, I'm actually focusing now. But it's there's so much important stuff going on here. One thing is that I created at my time, and the other thing is that it ends. It has an ending. It has a start and an end. Super important. The way I use this typically is that I set off those 25 minutes, and then I keep going if I can. But I'm available to be distracted. I'm available to be disturbed because I've been working for more than 25 minutes, which means that I will be available again after this, or just busy, which means that you can break in and ask me stuff, and I will probably answer. It's okay to be distracted. So this is how I hack it. So what I do, I set that I will use this tool, but I said that you will be scheduled time for me in the afternoon at 9 in the evening, because my workday is from 9 to 10, and the reason for that is I have so many calls as an MVP and so on, which happens after hours. So I don't want that to affect the way I work. And then I go over here and say that my end of day is 9. Totally hacked it. So now this is a hack actually. So now I told them you can after 9 you can book focus time, and then my day ends at 9. Yeah, that's how you hack it. Now you don't have time to focus time. That's okay. I will book them myself. Thank you. Because I have enough of them that I can copy them and manipulate them. So how do I do that? I use Power Automate for that. So I put into do Power Automate takes an older focus time, the oldest actually, and copy it over to that time and set the correct time interval. The old one gets replaced with a regular meeting that says focus time, but it's not an actual focus time. And it's probably a couple of weeks ago as well. And it will then set me to focus time during that period. It's beautiful, really. So it takes about 3 minutes for this trigger to happen. But when it's in the calendar, it's almost instantly. And then it will end at the correct time. For I take I look at the timestamp of the meeting or the to-do event, actually, and adjust accordingly. If you want to do this hack yourself, I have a YouTube video on this on YouTube, going into this in detail. But there is one more thing, and I have time to show you this because this is so cool. So I have this the Power Automate one with to do. That's like the semi-cool one, but the really cool one is to use a PowerShell version of it, because then I can do more. And I have my mobile here as well. So what will happen now? I say 25 minutes. And what is happening is I'm starting presentation mode on my computer, and I'm hiding badges. So see here, I'm hiding the badge on Teams. So it doesn't show that I have unread messages. On email as well, it doesn't show. In case I should glance down there, it's gone. And then where did it go? There it is. And then I need to do this and this. No, okay. And then it will open a Spotify list. So Spotify opened on the side here. This is my favorite focus list. I will share the link with you after. So this will open. I just need to play it. And then I use if this then that to mute my phone. So my phone now is muted very soon. And if this and that will then not mute my phone, but put it to do not disturb. So, but I configured do not disturb so my wife and family can break through it. But if I won't get distracted by phone calls from salespeople or what happens, And it has set the calendar event. How cool is this? If you want to dive into this, go to my YouTube channel and I have a step-by-step walkthrough of how you can get started yourself. But this is very interesting. You don't need to be an IT pro anymore to get going with this. It's now built into the platform, people, or very soon. This is launching, hopefully, during this year and hopefully before the summer. And suddenly in March, April. That's all the information we have on this. But look at this. Built-in focus timer. Where are the tasks coming from? They're coming from to-do. And even music is included in this for focus music. And this means that working smart in Microsoft 365 now is getting built into the platform. You don't need to fool around with the PowerShell script. You don't need to fool around like with Power Automate and so on, something like that. You can roll this out in your organization now. And when you start this focus session, your calendar gets updated with it. Fantastic. So I have spent the past decade creating my routine. You don't have to. That's kind of a big deal. So we are focusing, and we are focusing to end this session as well. So what should you go to Facebook? No, you shouldn't go to Facebook. You shouldn't go to Twitter, not LinkedIn, Instagram, Reddit. If you've got to get coffee, too bad. Keep focusing. It's only 5 minutes left now. You need to keep the flow state. You get the urge to check the news again because there may have been something happening for the past 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes in terms of how long you've been focusing. But turns out you will survive not checking those news. Your phone is something happening, put it to silent at least, or use my PowerShell script to automate it, because then you become available again after. So no, don't check your phone. And that's the problem. If someone calls you, it's like, what's happening here? Someone is calling me, try to ignore it if you can. TikTok, definitely no. So you need to be strong. You are your worst enemy, and say no. And the Pomodoro technique is all about taking note of all the times this happened when you get that urge. And over time, we'll get better at this. I have been practicing this for 10 years, and I still use all these tools. And the tools are important. It turns out that music can speed up the time you get into the flow state. Use the team certified headsets. So you don't have the context switch when you need to jump into a call later. And use focus headsets like this one, where you get super good music. It's great for travel. You can bring it with you everywhere. And there are lots of vendors that have these kind of headsets now. So check that out on Team certified devices. Use the Spotify list. So this is the link, and I can paste it in the chat later in order to listen to the correct type of music. And the correct type of music is music with beats between 80 and 50 beats per minute. And also, if you're listening to your favorite music, it should be the favorite music you've been listening to for the past 20 years. You're not listening to the lyrics, you're not paying attention. So not new music. That's not what you're doing during a focus session. And then get stuff done. Start completing tasks. And remember to use that ding sound. So complete the task you're doing, listen to the ding, because you get addicted to the ding actually, which is a good thing. You want to complete more tasks. And at the end of the week, the previous week, you will get a report on this. So you get a gamification. This is 4 out of 4 days. And that's awesome. Where like I got a focus session in, and my goal is 1 focus session per day. That's when I'm happy. So use Viva Insights, create your day, and use the Pomodoro technique in order to focus for this. And this fits perfectly within my digital well-being model. This is part of the story. This is this part of the story of digital well-being. And there's so much more that needs to be in place for you to really, really succeed. And if you want to dive into that, check out my YouTube channel for it. I'm doing live streams, so you can get your questions answered, and you can really dive into how to get happy in your life, a tad more happy actually. And turns out you're more productive when you're happy. That's science, people. So digital well-being, focus status, and it's now going to be part of Viva Insights. Built into the platform, you don't need an extra license for it as far as I know. Thank you everyone for your attention, and I hope this was useful for you, that you got some ideas, that you understand that the Pomodoro technique is key. And remember to rate the session. If you liked this session, let us know on Twitter. Use my hashtag as well, and my call sign, and then check out my YouTube channel for deep dives. Thank you.